The five-factor model of personality is a model of personality that originated from the trait theorist. Costa and McCree came up with 5 different dimensions of personality, and they feel all other aspects of personality can be derived from these 5.
Many independent researchers have come to the conclusion that there are 5 global factors that can adequately summarize any one individual's personality. And a good way to remember what these 5 bipolar global personality factors are is through the acronym OCEAN. O stands for openness to experience, the extent to which you're creative, open-minded. C stands for conscientiousness. E for extroverted, how outgoing, gregarious you are. A stands for agreeableness, and N for neuroticism, how mentally unstable or emotionally unstable that you are.
Psychologists have discovered that certain personality traits, such as openness to experience and conscientiousness, are strongly influenced by genetics. However, genetics alone can't fully explain all of our personality traits. Environmental factors are at least equal to the influence of genetic factors.
Environment as well does influence our personality, but not in a way that you would necessarily think. Behavior geneticists break up environmental influence into 2 categories: common familial environment and unshared environment. Common familial environment is the environment that we share growing up as a child. Unshared environmental influence is basically those unique experiences that we experience as a child, idiosyncratic experiences that we experience outside of the family, or maybe a unique relationship with a parent or a sibling. And what they found is that it's not the common familial environment that influences our personality like you think, but it's actually the unshared environment.
And while the 5-factor model of personality currently is the most common measurement of personality, it also doesn't quite cover all aspects of someone's character.
I'm always impressed by an anthropologist named Kluckholm, who said that in some ways we are like all other people, in some ways we are like some other people, and in some ways we are like no other people.
The 5 factors, I don't believe that they can adequately summarize any one individual's personality. I think we need to go to what are called mid-level traits, traits that we use when we describe one another on an everyday basis, such as I'm talkative, I like to daydream, I'm dependable. I think we need to look at a level that laypersons like ourselves and our audience use in everyday interactions and categorizing ourselves to get an understanding of the depth of an individual's personality rather than using 5 global factors.
Heredity and environment all play a part in the formation of personality. And though people can make conscious decisions to change their behavior, personality traits tend to remain relatively consistent throughout a person's life. Though Norm was advised that his personality type was better suited to an occupation that involved counseling, he tried another career first, as a defense industry contractor.
A defense contractor came along, offered me an opportunity to work on 2 Marine Corps projects, and it was accompanied by a rather large paycheck, so I decided to take that. I wouldn't say it was a mistake for me to take that, because it gave me time to transition out of the service and into the civilian economy, but I was not comfortable doing that.
You have to take into consideration the fact that if you're truly an introvert and you're put into a situation where you're being asked on a continual basis to interact with other people, and that's an uncomfortable situation for you, then you're not going to enjoy the job because you're trying to fill somebody else's shoes in that particular case.
Cindy Chernow can speak firsthand about Norm's career change and the decisions that have shaped his current life, not only because she is a professional career consultant and motivational speaker and has guided many people through similar situations, but because she was there to observe his transformation herself.
I was working at the Career Center when Norm applied for the position of career counselor, and we worked for, I think, about a year together in that environment.
Norm's discomfort with his contractor's job, though it seemed to complement what he did while he served in the Marine Corps, didn't work for him because he found himself working against his personality type.
You finish one project, you go find another one to work on. And so I was starting to do that, and then, you know, I said, God, why in the heck am I looking for a job that I hate? It doesn't make sense. You know, I ought to be, if I'm spending all this time and energy at work, it ought to be something that fits me and something that I enjoy. So when the project ended, I went to my boss and said that I was desirous of making a transition into the field of education, because I'd gone back and I'd pulled out all that old assessment stuff that I had gotten 2 years earlier, looked at that and thought, let me give this a try. It turned out to be a year-long quest, but I did eventually make the transition.
It's really a personality type combined with environment, with values, with interests. You're going to take the same personality type, somebody that wants to be an accountant, for example, or that has that type of personality, and you can put them in a million different environments. You can be an accountant in the film industry or an accountant for the National Parks Service. Very, very different environments. Again, where does their interests lie? What are their goals and so forth? That plays a big part. Norm had the great benefit of having a full career in the military and then being able to take that risk and go in and do something that he really wanted to do for the rest of his life. And for Norm and others like Norm, it's great because 50 isn't what it used to be. At 50, I'm just starting to live. I'm having the greatest time of my life. And it's nice to know that I can make a transition and do another career if I want to do another career.
Cindy and Norm are good illustrations of the concept possible selves. Possible selves are images we have about what we might become. And how we imagine what we may become can influence our behavior in important ways.
Possible selves are wonderful motivators for our behavior. They can motivate us to aspire to be like this ideal self, as well as keep us away from that self that's less desirable that might engage in possibly social deviant behavior. So possible selves are wonderful motivators.
The term possible selves refers to the options that we have about what we might become in the future. And it's kind of a roadmap that we follow. Right now, my possible self is I've been blabbing and teaching for all these years, and I want to become a writer. So I'm very cued in to all the different ways that I might pick up the skills, the connections, and so forth to become a writer.
Our self-concept is the set of perceptions and beliefs that we hold about ourselves and includes how we perceive our nature, personal qualities, and behavior.
I think we're aware of our self-concept, who we are at this moment, and we're aware of the discrepancy between who we are and what we could possibly be. So I think there's a lot of motivation sometimes to bridge that gap between our possible self and our current self-concept.
When we talk about self-concept, we talk about it as a unified entity, but actually the thought is now that we have a lot of different self-concepts. That, for example, I'm a very different person at a party than I am in the classroom, and that's utilizing a different self-concept that is situational.